kindergarten, and welcome to another reading lesson. We learned all about the poem Halfway Down last week, and today we're going to continue looking at the poem Halfway Down. We also have the reading thinking job of identifying a poem as a text. We know a text is a poem if it has a rhythm or a rhyme or kind of has a beat like a song. So last week, we were able to identify Halfway Down as a poem, and today we are going to look at our reading thinking job of describe what illustrations add to words. So, thumbs up and repeat after me. I can describe what illustrations add to words. So we know in poems, there's not a lot of illustrations, but there's a whole bunch of words in groups. So we're going to look really close to that picture, that illustration, and the poem to see how we can describe what the illustrations are saying to the words. So if you don't have your spy glasses on and out, make sure you reach in your pocket and get those spy glasses because we're going to be looking very closely at that illustration. Here we go. Our reading thinking steps to get to our reading thinking job of I can describe what illustrations add to words. First, we're going to listen to the words. So we're going to read the poem halfway down. Then we're going to study the picture. And step 3, we're going to ask ourselves, what details do the pictures add? Here we go. Make sure those listening ears are on and the spy glasses are ready and able to be used. So the first step we're going to do is listen to the words. I'm going to read halfway down, and then your teacher might pause the video and read it again. Halfway down. Halfway down the stairs is a stair where I sit. There isn't any other stair quite like it. I'm not at the bottom. I'm not at the top. So this is the stair where I always stop. Halfway up the stairs isn't up and it isn't down. It isn't in the nursery and it isn't in town. And all sorts of funny thoughts run around my head. It isn't really anywhere. It's somewhere else instead. While your teacher rereads the poem to you when they pause the video, I want you to notice the details that tell who the poem is about, the characters. Also notice what is happening in the poem, the events, and when and where it's happening, the setting. So looking for those key details, because next we're going to look at the illustration. So your teacher's going to pause the video, reread the poem again, and then talk to you about the character, the setting, and the events. You probably said you noticed the words told you about a person who is sitting on the stairs. So we know that person from last week is a child. That's our character. Our setting is where. Where is the child? On the stairs. What is the child doing? Sitting on the stairs. The words were able to tell us in the first couple of lines, halfway down the stairs is a stair where I sit. That tells us where the child is sitting and what the child is doing. Let's move to step 2. Let's study the picture. Your teacher's going to pause the video and you guys are going to look at the illustration that the illustrator drew to match this poem. While you're doing this, you're going to look at all the parts of the illustration, including the background, what's happening behind the boy. Study the characters, the child, to see what they're doing and how they're feeling. Your teacher's going to pause the video and you're going to look real close. This is where you need those spy eyes. Look real close at that illustration. While you were using your spy eyes and looking really close to that illustration, you probably said the child is sitting on the step. His eyes are closed. If you look real close, his eyes are closed. He also has, if you look at the very top of the stairs, you see some toys, a teddy bear, and maybe some other toys at the top of the stair. And something is covering the steps. If you look, you notice going down, there's something covering the steps. I wonder what that could be. Maybe it's a carpet. I think it's time to move to step 3. What details do the picture add? We just noticed that something was going down the stairs. Let's find details in the picture that are not in the words. You're going to think about what you learn from these details about the character, the setting, and the events. So your teacher's going to pause the video. They're going to read the poem again because we need to find details in the illustration that the words don't tell us about. They're going to reread the poem. You're going to dive into the details of the illustration and then come back and share what you came up with. What details do the pictures add? What does the illustration show us that the words didn't tell us? Let's go back to this thing coming down from the stairs. Raise your hand if you have stairs in your house. I have stairs in my house. They're actually right behind me. And I have something that comes down my stairs. It's a carpet. So this tells me a carpet is shown in the stairs. So they're probably inside because we don't normally put carpet on outside stairs because it would get wet and really, really dirty, and nobody wants that. What did you notice about the character? We know our character is a child, and the child looks young. I'm sure you guys came up with so many other details that were added in the illustration that you didn't hear in the words. And you'll get a chance in Seesaw today to find more of those details. We've been learning about our 5 senses, so let's connect our 5 senses to halfway down. What sense did you use while studying the illustration for this poem, and how did you use it? Your teacher is going to pause the video, and you guys are going to talk about what sense did you have to use while studying the illustration for this poem, and how did you use it? You probably said you used your sight of see as you needed to see the illustration and you saw the details in the picture, as well as you were able to see the child and pull all of the details, like the child was young, the child was sitting on the stairs. You were also able to use those spy eye glasses to help you see better, to dig all those details. I have one more question for you. What more have you learned about places for thinking? What more have you learned about places for thinking? Do you have a place at home that you like to go to and do thinking? How has this poem helped you learn more about places for thinking? Your teacher is going to pause the video. Some people like to think in the same place over and over again, and sometimes you need a different place to think. And you can find a special place to think about at home. Maybe there's a special place at your friend's house or your grandma's house or even at school to think. it's important to have a place for you to go think, because sometimes you need that quiet place. We just explored the poem halfway down and looked at that illustration and pulled all of the details that were not said in the words. So today in Seesaw, you're going to do the same work, but you're going to focus on a couple lines from halfway down. The section of halfway down in Seesaw is, halfway down the stairs is a stair where I sit. There isn't any other stair quite like it. I'm not at the bottom, I'm not at the top, so this is the stair where I always stop. You're going to look at the illustration, you're going to circle one detail in that illustration that is not in the words of halfway down. Remember, you can always listen to the caption button to rehear the poem read to you. Happy reading, Kipsters. See you later.